A very good afternoon to one and all. On behalf of Honorable Founder President Sir, it is my privilege to welcome our distinguished panelists, head of the various institutions, faculty members, research scholars, and dear students to today's panel discussion on the topic Translational Research and Commercialization in the Indian University Ecosystem, a solution approach through policy and strategy. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Anita Agarwal, ma'am, Head Technology Development and Transfer Division from DST, and Dr. Rabindra Panigrahi, Scientist E from Policy Coordination and Program Management Division of DST. Thank you so much all for joining us today. Translational research and commercialization are the two interrelated processes that aim to bridge the gap between scientific discoveries and their practical applications in the real world. They play a complementary role in the process of transforming scientific knowledge into practical application with societal and economic impact. Translational research focuses on advancing scientific discoveries towards public use, while commercialization transforms those discoveries into marketable products or services. In this context, it is a great honor that DST has established one of its technology enabling center and satellite center for policy research at Amity University, Noida, and giving us the opportunity to streamline and enhance research translation and commercialization related activities in the university ecosystem through exploring the strategies and new policy initiatives. India is one of the largest and complex higher education system in the world. In the recent years, Indian HEIs have been encouraged to generate the revenue from their research outcome. Therefore, research translation and commercialization has emerged as an important and integral activity of the Indian university system. The Government of India has taken several initiatives in the form of policy measures, funding schemes, and specialized technology-based programs to promote and support research and innovation in the university system. Despite several proactive initiatives, translational research in the Indian university systems continues to be a concern, due to which they lag in commercialization of the technologies as compared their peers in developed nations. In this context, today's panel discussion is an endeavor to explore the approaches to be followed to overcome this existing gap. Today's panel discussion aims at providing a platform to domain experts, policymakers, and innovators to brainstorm, discuss, and deliberate possibilities and ways to enhance translational research and commercialization in the Indian university ecosystem. To discuss and deliberate on the same, today we are joined by the eminent experts from higher education institutions, technology transfer offices, and national laboratories. To get some concrete outcome, today's discussion is organized into two parts. The first group of panelists will primarily focus on the policy measures to be taken to enhance translational research and commercialization, and the second group of panelists will primarily focus on the strategies to achieve the required level of translational research and commercialization in the Indian university system. Now, may I request Dr. W. Silvamurthy to kindly extend his opening remarks. But before moving further, I would like to introduce Dr. W. Silvamurthy. Dr. W. Silvamurthy is presently working with Amity University as President, Amity Science, Technology and Innovation Foundation, DG of Amity Directorate of Science and Innovation, and Chancellor, Amity University, Chhattisgarh. Dr. Silvamurthy did his Master's in Human Physiology from Christian Medical College, Vellore, and PhD from Delhi University in 1982 and DSc from Bangalore in 2006. He has been also awarded with DSc from 5 universities in recognition of his outstanding research and development contributions in life science area. Dr. Silvamurthy has served Defense Research and Development Organization, Government of India for 40 years, in which all the health-related and life science-related technologies were developed and included in the armed forces. His R&D contribution include development of life support technologies for soldiers, NBC defense technology, nanotechnology application for defense, application of yoga for the armed forces, military psychology, and others. He superannuated from DRDO in February 2013 as Distinguished Scientist and Chief Controller, Research and Development, Life Sciences and International Cooperation Division, and then joined Amity University. He is presently a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee to Cabinet, particularly in the field of life science, including health research. He is a member of the high-powered committee appointed by Indian Council of Medical Research to review its 12th plan proposal and chairman of Technology Commercialization Committee of ICMR. He has published more than 250 research papers in journal of repute, including 18 books. In fact, TIFACT has entrusted the responsibility of Technology Vision 2023 to Dr. W. Silvamurthy as chairman to formulate vision for the nation for health and medical sciences till the year 2023. In recognition of his significant contribution to biomedical research and development, he has been awarded a number of prestigious research awards, including CSIR, National Award for Science and Technology Innovation, Lifetime Achievement Award in the field of clinical and preventive cardiology, and many more. Thank you so much. Now, may I request Dr. W. Silvamurthy, sir, to kindly extend his opening remarks.
Very good afternoon to all the very distinguished participants on this very important panel discussion. I would feel that this is the most important event which I cherish so much, that how do we give a new paradigm for innovation in Indian university ecosystem. That is what we are going to deliberate. Let me first of all welcome Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, who has joined online and who has also conveyed his greetings, blessings, best wishes for all of us for the fruitful outcome. Thank you, Founder President, that in spite of your extremely busy schedule, you have also kindly agreed to be watching this program and when you are doing other responsibilities as well. I would also welcome a very distinguished panelist, starting with Professor N.S. Vyas. He is the head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering in IIT Kanpur. So Dr. Vyas, thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us in this very important panel discussion, because you are the chairman of the Technology Enabling Center, which the architect is here, Dr. Neeraj Sharma, who is with us. We are very proudly, we can say that Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Anita Agarwal, together, they created the architecture of this whole scheme of Technology Enabling Center, and you are driving it as the chairman of this, going to various centers, giving a new vibrancy there. So it's a great honor for us to have you as a very important dignitary to participate and share your thoughts with your rich experience in IIT Kanpur, and also with this Technology Enabling Center, which you have interacted with everyone, including Amity University. So we'll look forward to your views.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vyas. And we will also involve you with Amity Universities in a big way, because you have a lot of ideas. You are a thought leader. And I'm also happy to have Dr. Purushottam. Dr. Purushottam, welcome. And he was the former the chairman of our the innovation incubator, which he has given here, the facilitation center from NRDC. So he was driving the NRDC for a very long time, and he brought a new vibrance in that organization. And now he is the IPR chair in Andhra University. And I see him many times in online, in very many webinars on IPR, particularly patents and its commercialization. So you have done so much to the country, Dr. Purushottam. Now we would like to have your thoughts, ideas, on how do we bring a new vibrant thrust for all the innovation which should happen in the universities in a big way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Purushottam. We are also very happy to have Professor R. Tiwari from Punjab University, because he has been a part of TEC right from the beginning, when the first 9 centers, including the first one in Amity University, Punjab University, Delhi University, so all this, so Punjab University played a very important role in this technology enabling center, and Dr. Tiwari is the prime mover, the drive engine for this program in Punjab University. So we are very happy to have you, Dr. Tiwari. And Dr. Anil Bali, who is here with us from IIT Delhi. He is the director of FITT, and this center is doing a remarkable job. Because I was just having a chat with him when I was just receiving him at the lounge. At this center, IIT Delhi, a lot of products have gone to the industries for commercialization and big technologies, including with participation from DRDO and other organizations. The innovation and technology transfer at this center, FITT, is happening in a big way. We will learn from your experience, rich experience. And also they have a big center in Sonipat, and he was responsible for actualizing as well as energizing, initiating, launching that center. Now it is handed over to IIT to run this. But otherwise, he was the initiator of this very important activity at Sonipat as well. We are very proud to have Dr. Sudha Mysore, and she has attended many of our meetings. Dr. Sudha Mysore, welcome. And she is the CEO of the Agri Innovate, the industry limited, because she looks into the agricultural innovation, and she has given very many valuable suggestions, guidance in our TEC during the meetings, PAC as well as PAG meetings. Thank you so much for your wonderful ideas, and we would like to listen from you that how do we bring a transformation in universities who are primarily focused on publication, patents, at the maximum patents, but they don't go beyond translating them into a product, technology, process, or a solution, and or a deliverable. So how do we create that innovation ecosystem to do this Atmanirbhar Bharat? So we are very happy to have you with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. And also we are very proud to have our DRDO scientist, Dr. Arun, Mr. Arun Chaudhary. He is the director of DITTM. This is the center which is industry interface and technology transfer, which they do in the DRDO, which I was associated for 40 years. I served there. And 1,600 technologies have been transferred from DRDO to industry. He will talk about how they work with the universities to churn out these innovations. He will share that experience of a national laboratory, national S&T organization in defense, that how did they bring the 1,600 technology reaching to the industry, working also with the industry, with the universities. We are very grateful to DST. We have 2 important persons, the officials who have joined us from the DST. The first one is Dr. Anita Agarwal, with whom I have worked in many of the panels, NSTI, National Science Technology Management Information System panel, then also the TEC, and many activities. I have seen Dr. Anita Agarwal, a very young, energetic, dynamic leader who is pushing from DST this transformation. Particularly the TEC activities are being spearheaded by Dr. Anita Agarwal. Thank you for joining, madam, and we like to have your experience. How did you drive? How did you achieve many success stories, not only through TEC, but many other mission mode programs in DST, which you have been part of? And we are also joined by Dr. R.K. Panigrahi, who is a senior scientist at the Department of Science and Technology. And they have now established a Center for Policy Research, many centers of policy research. And he is coordinating, in addition to other responsibility, policy coordination and program management. That is the responsibility Dr. Panigrahi is looking after. Dr. Panigrahi, welcome. Dr. Anita ji, well, what a pleasure seeing all of you. With all this brilliant brains sitting here, and also experienced people sitting here in Amity, physically in this I2 moot court of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. We should really bring a revolutionary recommendations, revolutionary changes in universities. So let us put our mind, heart, and soul into the deliberation. This is just not yet another the panel discussion or a webinar which we are organizing, but we would like to have an outcome, fruitful outcome, which we'll submit as a recommendation to Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Human Resource Development, UGC, AICTE. So this is going to be a different kind of panel. So let us spend enough time. And not only the panelists will deliberate, but I want all the people sitting here online that I would like to listen to your ideas, because India needs that now. Atmanirbhar Bharat, Honorable Prime Minister, has given a big mission to India, to our country, to transform a nation which has been depending on many technologies to come from outside. Now we are making for the world, not only meeting the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are making for the world. So how do we give a new push through the university? Let us focus on university as the focal point for discussion today. How do we bring that culture? It is there in DRDO, atomic energy, space, ICR, ICMR, and also in universities. We want 1100 universities. If this culture could be brought in, imagine the kind of impact we will make on the social, the economic, as well as the national development which we will be playing. So I welcome each and every one of you who have joined offline in this hall, as well as online for this deliberation. Now coming to the focal theme, let me just give a little framework. India today, if you look at this merit list in science and technology, we have moved 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. When you celebrate, we are number 3 in publication, number of publications. In terms of the Nature Index, we are number 7. Patents, we are number 9. Global Innovation Index, we have pole vaulted from 81 to 40. So there is a big movement now for the innovation which is happening in the last 1 decade. So now in this scenario, with all this was achieved with minimal input, 0.7% of GDP. That is our power. That is our intellectual power. The Indian intellect is so powerful. You give minimal input, they will maximize the output as well as outcome. So with this, why don't we bring that kind of change in the university system, what we need to do to get the best outcome in terms of innovation. Now, when you look at universities today, they are happy with publishing papers because that gives them promotion, that gives them increments, and they get the invite for conferences. They get the fellowship in academies, science academies. So the ecosystem is incentivizing publication, maybe rightly. Then next, now the IPR, they have just graduated, universities have graduated to at the maximum filing a patent or a copyright or a trademark or a trade secret. They have just moved to that level of IPR. But now it is time for us. Let us roll up our sleeves in this Amrit Kaal, next 25 years. India should become cradle of innovation. Cradle of innovation. We should not only follow and then imitate and do reverse engineering and produce products. We should, for the first time, bring a disruptive technology. So how do we do that in the universities? Universities should be the cradle of innovation. The reason is the young innovative minds are here, PhD scholars, master students, BTech students. That is the most innovative, creative phase of one's life. So these people are here in university. University has a flexible ecosystem. The seamless transfer of knowledge from faculty to faculty to students, students to faculties, PhD scholars. So there is a flexible ecosystem available today where the seamless the transfer of ideas, the exchange of thoughts can happen. So that is another ambience which we have. 1100 universities, 1100 universities. So imagine if we can bring even 20% change, 10% change, what impact we will bring in. So we have to bring that change. Then the next thing is, Amity has developed a model which we want to share. You know, the last 2 decades has been a glorious journey for Amity. Today we have Dr. Ashok Chauhan, the founder president, has established 12 universities in India, 18 campuses abroad, 28 schools, And we have 200,000 students, 700,000 alumni. Many of them are becoming entrepreneurs, startups, not only employed in industries and institutions and organizations, they are becoming startups. So we have created that innovation ecosystem, one model. It's not only the best model. I want to present Amity model, where we created first a comprehensive research policy. We created a comprehensive research policy, right from conceiving the ideas, taking it to the final product. So we have created what should be the policy by which we can promote creativity, innovation, problem solving ability through our faculties and students. So that is the first thing, as a comprehensive policy. Then we establish IPR cell. We have a dozen people working in intellectual property rights. That is how we have filed 1,940 patents today. There's the score which Dr. Smita Sahu, who is the director, told us. Today is 1,940 patents. We are one of the largest patent filer today in the world, in the country. And then we got the Innovation and Commercialization Award for the patents, the most prominent academic institution for patents, Amity. So we got it from the Ministry of Commerce. So we created the IPR cell. Then we created a Directorate of Innovation and Technology Transfer. And Dr. Meenakshi Kanojia is now heading that as the additional director of this center. And so she is doing very well and looking into many technology transfers, which is happening. So this, we created the DITT. Then we created Technology Enabling Center. The first center was established here by DST. And out of the 9, so this is one of the prominent TECs. Thanks to the DST. Then we created an incubator, which can physically incubate about 500 people in 4 stories, only for incubation. We created that facility supported by DST. And so we have the innovation incubator. Then we created a venture capital, Amity Venture Capital, because if you have a brilliant idea and we can support, Mr. Amol Chauhan, Dr. Asim Chauhan, they look after these venture capital as well. Then we incentivized innovation. If you have a technology transfer, 20% of the technology transfer goes to the faculties or the inventors, the group of inventors. So we incentivized innovation and translational research. Then we created Amity Center for Translational Research. Dr. Hridesh Prakash is now driving this as professor in that. So we established a separate Center for Translational Research. Then the other thing which we did, that we also incentivized research for their promotion, increments. We ask, what are the prototypes you have developed? What are the patents you have filed? How many are granted? So all these questions are incentivizing the innovation to happen in Amity. Now with this preamble, I welcome once again each and every one. I have given a structure for the discussion. Otherwise, it will become a brainstorming. So I have put 5 questions to the panelists so that the discussions are focused on that. And you can also go at the peripheral part of those questions to answer them. I will mention that after we finish this initial opening remarks from other experts. And I would also mention those 5 questions so that panelists will be focused on those issues which are relevant to bring in innovation and commercialization in university ecosystem. So with this, once again, welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and informative remarks. Your remarks have set the perfect tone for today's event, and I'm confident that this will inspire fruitful discussion and meaningful outcome. Now, may I request Dr. Anita Agarwal, Head Technology Development and Transfer Division from DST, to kindly extend her keynote address.
Namaskar to all the panelists and dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. So DST has established these technology enabling centers, and all the progenitors of the center, like 3 of them I could see on the dais. Dr. Neeraj Sharma is there, and Dr. Silva Murthy, Dr. Wali, then Professor Vyas, and Madam Sudha Murthy. So all those who have been behind making this architecture for the program and making it a reality are already sitting there. So so Dr. Neeraj Sharma, he took over as head of our division in 2014, and from then onwards, he was inspiring us to do something for the universities. And with these efforts perpetually, like the projects which were supported to universities, so initially in 2015, the number was 2 and eventually grew up, and now at least 15% funding from technology development program is going to universities, apart from TECs. So in 2017, he gave us a framework. Okay, fine. So these enabling centers has to be established like this. So we took some lead from that framework, and the other lead we took from the work of FITT led by Dr. Wali. So they had created this framework for TTOs, which are being established by DBT. So combining all those documents, we could come up with a framework and program for technology enabling centers. So purposely, like we decided that these technology enabling centers will do the only enabling business. So they will not do any R&D per se. So the primary stakeholders for these centers are faculty members which are working in the ecosystem, then their students and the industries and society by and large. So if we look at the universities, so universities are located in the region, and you get a lot of comes to technology or translational research or taking the work forward. It is very important to establish a connect so that you can enable the translational research and you can enable the transfer of technology and commercialization. So when it comes to technology, it's not only readiness.
Help desk, IT help desk.
I think Meenakshi, we will take her a little later. Maybe there is some signal connectivity problem there. We can take Panigrahi and then when she comes back, we will take Anita join. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. There was some disconnect.
Yeah, sorry. So I was talking about technology. So when it comes to technology translation and commercialization, it's not only the readiness of technology which plays an important role, but societal readiness to accept that technology, market readiness to take that technology forward, and industry readiness to mass produce that technology are also equally important for translation and commercialization. So development at the part of researcher is still in the hand of researchers. But when it comes to these various readiness level, it is very important to take cognizance of the needs of the society and the response of the users also. So anybody who is looking at technology development has to look at all these parameters also. So these TECs were also given the responsibility of sensitizing the faculty members about the importance of translational projects and and identifying the part of the research that they are doing, which can be really translated into a product and taken to the next level. So so the main part is enabling and creating an enabling ecosystem. And I'm really happy to see that the Enabling Center at MIT University has picked up a very pertinent issue for discussion, which involves translational research and commercialization. So this issue has been plaguing our country since ages. Since the inception of DST, the technology development programs have been implemented by the department. But when we look at the end result, so in the latest, like I would say in the last decade only, this ecosystem has gained momentum and we are seeing the translational products in the market. And all this boom has been fueled by the robust startup ecosystem, which is being enabled in the country. So it is very important that universities should be a part of this ecosystem and they should take full advantage of this ecosystem as they have multidisciplinary activity diaspora which is available to them. They have multidisciplinary people which are there to help them out. So, and they are connected with the society also. So my compliments to MIT University for organizing this event. And I believe we will get some important recommendations for the government, which will help in designing our programs. Thank you very much.
Anitaji, Founder President Dr. Chauhan has sent his greetings to you. He has just sent a message just now. My Vaibhav brought it and showed it to me. And thank you for support from DST, always for Amity and the other institutions. And you are driving innovation mission in the country. Thank you so much.
So I reciprocate his greetings, sir. Please convey my regards to him.
I will do that.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a powerful, thought-provoking and inspiring remarks. Your words have truly motivated us to approach translational research and commercialization with renewed passion and determination. Now, may I request Dr. Rabindra Panigrahi, Scientist E from DST, to kindly address the audience.
Before he starts, Panigrahi, thank you so much for giving a center to Amity University. It's a satellite center for policy research. And this is one of the first activities. So we wanted personally to request you to give your margdarshan, directions. And this is the first activity, first policy decision we want to get out of this panel discussion. That how do we bring a translation and commercialization as a focus in universities, in our Indian ecosystem, Indian university ecosystem. So thank you for the support to Amity University. Over to you, Dr. Panigrahi.
Thank you. Thank you, Meenakshi, and thank you, Dr. Selvamurthy, for giving this introduction. So sorry. Esteemed dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and also those who are joining online, and fellow participants in this workshop. Namaskar and good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, let me thank MIT University for organizing this event and also giving me a chance to speak here. As you know, the Department of Science and Technology has been mandated with the policy formulation and also managing the data which represents the STI landscape in the country. And to fulfill these mandates, DST has been implementing a policy research program and also the National Science and Technology Management Information System, which is mainly collecting, collating, and disseminating the SNT or data related to science, technology, and innovation in the country. Currently, some of the activities or some of the programs I would like to throw some light in brief. To implement this policy research program, DST has been implementing in two different modes of promoting this policy research. One is establishing some centers for policy research to carry out research in different domains of STI policy, and also for facilitating evidence-based planning approaches in different domains of policy research. The second mode is supporting a STI policy fellowship program, basically to generate a critical mass of policy researchers in the country. And during last few years, these centers for policy research have proved in delivering some evidence-based inputs in specific SNT domains from particularly the CPRs, which has triggered to expand the policy research network into other potential SNT sectors. The same has been recommended by one of the committee which has carried out a third party committee which has carried out a detailed evaluation of all the programs or schemes of DST. They have also recommended for expansion of the Centers for Policy Research into new domains, and the advisory committee which is monitoring and guiding this policy research program has also recommended the same to expand the network of Center for Policy Research into new domains of SNT areas, and also to cover different regions in the country also, because earlier our Centers for Policy Research were only covered in either north or southern part of the country. So that's why they have highlighted the gap in the representation of our Centers for Policy Research and to expand it to the other regions like Central India, Western India, and Eastern India also. So considering these recommendations, DST has initiated in inviting expression of interest from potential institutions across the country to establish Center for Policy Research, and we received nearly close to 90 expression of interest from different institutions. While evaluating these expression of interest, we could find that good number of institutions in the country, particularly beyond our expectations, can be seen contributing to different areas of science policy research. However, considering the current capacity in the policy research program or the allocation of budgets in the policy research program, we could support only 4 to 5 centers for policy research. And considering that, we debated within us and also with some of the experts and tried to devise a new mechanism to bring on board few more institutions under the policy research network of DST in the name of the Satellite Center for Policy Research. And that is how this concept of Satellite Center for Policy Research emerged. And we identified a few of the expression of interest to invite them as Satellite Centers for Policy Research. And Amity University, Noida is one of them, having established a SPR under the DST network of policy research. Let me share some silent features about these SPRs. Of course, these SPRs are not going to receive any dedicated financial support from DST. But these SPRs will just receive a recognition from DST as the DST Centers for Policy Research. However, these SPRs are to receive some non-financial benefits, particularly in form of free access to the data and knowledge resources generated within the DST network of policy research and data initiative. Then participate and contribute in the national level workshops, brainstorming sessions, or various discussions organized either by DST or the Centers for Policy Research or any of the other satellite centers for policy research also. Then access to DST's policy research fellows community. The policy research fellows will be allowed to carry out the research work as part of their interest with a mentor identified from any of these satellite centers for policy research, wherein these satellite centers for policy research will get some trained manpower or free trained manpower in free, which are already provided the fellowship support from DST. Then the SPRs will be able to share the research outcomes in the network of the CPRs and SPRs. Then we are currently working towards organizing a brainstorming session with all this network of 8 centers for policy research and 10 satellite centers for policy research to be held shortly. In addition, with this, DST hopes to further strengthen the policy research mechanism in the country. In addition, I would also throw some light about the recent developments in the SNT data domain. We have recently published the R&D statistics at a glance for the year 2020-21, which is giving you a current status of the landscape of STI ecosystem in the country, with some improvements and some lagging in different indicators of measuring this science and technology innovation sector. Then we have also brought out a recent report on National Manufacturing Innovation Survey 2021, which is giving insight with the participation of more than 8,000 farms or industries in the country, highlighting the strengths and weaknesses of innovation, what are the enablers of the innovation, and what are the barriers of these innovations, and what are the best practices followed in some of the states and which can be extended to other states or other sectors, how the large industries are faring in the innovation system or how the SMEs are faring in the innovation system. I would invite all of you to go through these reports or these outcomes of these two surveys, R&D survey and the manufacturing innovation survey. And with this, let me stop here, and I wish this workshop a grand success and look forward to the summary of the outcomes. Thank you so much, all of you, for your kind patience in listening to me, and once again thanking the organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Your words have ignited our imagination and motivated us to think beyond our boundaries. And we assure you to bring out some positive outcome out of this panel discussion. Now, may I request Dr. Dablab Silvamurthy, sir, to kindly initiate the session and give us an overview of the session.
Which I have already done. Now I'll straight away put the questions, 5 questions to the panelists. The first question will be, in the university ecosystem, what are the factors that support translational research and commercialization? Because what is that we need to do as the ecosystem factors which we should look at? Second question will be, how can we strengthen the industry interface with university? Because how would you develop the confidence building measure in university system where the industry should have confidence? If I give a project or a technology development or a prototype development, it should happen in the time frame, because professors are busy with teaching, other academic administration, so they must keep the timeline. So what are their concerns, and how do we address this in the university ecosystem? How can we strengthen the industry interface, connectivity, synergy with university? That's the second question. Third is, what policy initiatives are required at the university ecosystem? For example, when you have the PBAS system or performance-based assessment system, we don't ask the question which technology you transfer to the industry, which prototype you develop. So can we, through UGC as well as AICTE and other systems, Ministry of Human Resource Development, is there a requirement to make it as a policy framework which will incentivize faculties, PhD scholars to look if their performance is based on this, then everybody will move towards that. So how do we create that? What type of policy initiatives required at our Indian university ecosystem from the government, which includes UGC, AICTE, MHRD on one side, then at institutional level, it may be there at the government level. How do we see that percolating down for implementation at the university level, at the grassroots level? So this will be the next question. Then how can we incentivize the inventors for research, translation, and commercialization? Because today, whether it is for a fellowship in an academy or it is an invite in a conference, they look at your H index, I-10 index, and also your number of publications. So how do we make the importance of product development, technology development, which is important? How do we bring that focus so that it's incentivizing the faculties to do translational research? Because today the incentives are for publications, at the maximum patents. So how do we bring a new paradigm for changing this? What kind of policy framework will be required at government level and through university implementation level? The fourth question is, fifth question is, in context to research, translation, and commercialization, can we think of some global model? So like University of Texas, Penn State, MIT, Caltech, UCLA, and there are many good universities in which translational research is being given a focus. How do they achieve this? Because if you see the innovations coming out, disruptive innovations, incremental innovations, or radical innovations, it all happens from the university system in other countries. So how do we bring best practices, global best practices in innovation happening in good universities? How do we bring it in Indian university? So these are the 5 issues which I have already circulated to all the panelists. So you might have already made some thoughts and you will be sharing your thoughts in this forum. So with this preamble, now I would request the first panelist, which is Dr. Vyas, whom I have briefly introduced, but let me give a little brief introduction about him. He is a professor at IIT Kanpur, and he is also the former chairman of Technology Mission for Indian Railways. He has been driving the technology mission for Indian Railways, who are also technology based. And he has been at the Indian Institute of Technology since 1987. And he is now the chairman of also the Technology Mission for Indian Railways. And he is also chairman of our technology enabling centers, which he is monitoring, guiding, and spearheading. He is visiting professor at Virginia Tech University, USA. Then he is INSA Lyon, France, and many universities. He is the visiting faculties there. And he has served as the Vice Chancellor of Rajasthan Technical University between 2013 and 15. And his research interests lie in turbo machinery dynamics, non-linear parameter estimation, instrumentation. Primarily instrumentation is very important because he is all the time concerned. We import many of these research instruments, and also machinery. So how do we bring self-reliance in instrumentation? Then integrated health monitoring of machineries. All this is domain. So with this small preamble, let me invite a very distinguished professor.
Thank you, Dr. Selvamurthy. And very good afternoon to all of you. Very happy that the university under Dr. Chauhan's leadership and he himself is present in this meeting. They've taken this important initiative of getting so many of us together. But I think with stalwarts like Dr. Selvamurthy and Dr. Neeraj Sharma himself sitting there, you really don't need much of external advice. But let me share my few thoughts that I have on the very exhaustive questionnaire that Dr. Selvamurthy has circulated. The first one refers to basically we are talking of the university ecosystem. And I'm reminded of how this exercise of technology enabling center started when I started having discussions with Dr. Neeraj Sharma at DST. I was participating in the technology development program also, which was spearheaded by Dr. Neeraj Sharma at that time, and Anita ji was also there. And I was in the committee as a chairman of this committee and a couple of other committees also. And at the same time, I was the Vice Chancellor of Rajasthan Technical University on Lyon from IIT Kanpur. And I discussed with Neeraj ji and Anita ji that, you look, most of your money is this technology development program and other programs is all going to, firstly, the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, then to the IITs, then to the NITs, triple ITs. What is left for the universities? And being a Vice Chancellor of the university in Rajasthan with about 350 institutions, I realized that how barren our university ecosystem is for any kind of for undertaking any kind of R&D, leave alone R&D. It is not even well equipped for teaching purposes. The infrastructure in the university ecosystem, not just the government funded institutions, but also privately funded institutions and universities, is there's hardly any ecosystems. So one has to start from there. So this technology enabling center concept actually emerged from the desire to provide funding through the DST into the university system. Dr. Selvamurthy said that 0.7% of the national GDP is our budget for education and R&D. out of this 0.7%, if you were to calculate how much is going to the university system, it would come out into second digits after the decimal point, or probably the third digit after the decimal point. So this is what we are investing into the university system as a country. And still, whatever is being produced is really worthwhile. So if one is talking about policy changes and policy initiatives, the primary and most critical issue is money. More money is required into the university system. A lot more money is required into the university system. We have a situation now where in the country, at least the 4, 5, or 10 universities or 10 institutions are comfortable with money. The DRDO labs are reasonably comfortable with money. The CSIR labs are comfortable with the money. And that is where most of the innovation is taking place. To start with, the university system does not have any money, either for infrastructure or for human resources. So there is definitely a need to think very seriously about the kind of money that we are pumping into our university system, where we do not even have the basic infrastructure for the laboratories, basic infrastructure to hire good human resources. This is the first point that I wanted to emphasize upon, that money is required. Money will drive most of these activities. Without money, nothing can be done. Second most important aspect is the inner strength of the university, the competence of the university itself. The ecosystem within the university needs to be strengthened, and that will come only when you have good quality laboratories, good quality human resources, and along with that, good quality students will come automatically. So an assessment needs to be made. There are no shortcuts. An assessment needs to be made. Where do we stand in terms of our infrastructure? Hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure. Nationally as well as internationally. Dr. Selvamurthy talked about bringing in some global models. Global models, yes, we should have global models, but global models require a lot of flexibility. Global models require a lot of freedom. Why compare ourselves with the United States? Compare ourselves with China, and compare ourselves with Malaysia. Compare ourselves with other developing countries. The flexibility offered to the students, to the faculty in these developing countries is also a lot more than what we have even in the top institutions of the country. So assessment of our own competence at the university level in terms of our hardware and soft resources is very essential. And these gaps need to be filled as soon as possible. At the practical level, I would suggest that each university should, which aspires of innovation and translational research, should have some good state-of-the-art state-of-art infrastructure in a few areas. The first one is environment. For doing work in the area of environmental research and doing innovation in the area of environment. A very, very simple example would be solid waste management. I went to a university recently to give a talk. Each university should have at least 50 projects or 50 ideas thrown up by the students on solid waste management alone. And then there should be infrastructure to at least design and doing prototyping. So design facilities with state-of-art design software, state-of-art prototyping hardware is essential in these areas. One area is environment. The other area is energy, biotechnology, and then critical engineering areas. And these areas not just include IT and big data, but hardcore areas like electronics, like mechanical engineering, like civil and architecture design. We don't design anything in our country. We are not designing our own airports. We are not designing our own bridges. We are not designing our own railway bogies. Everything is coming from abroad. So we need these state-of-art design platforms where students can come and practice. So at least a few labs, and good human resources with good faculty in certain core areas is absolutely essential. And the last point that I wish to make is that of late, a lot of importance has been, and attention has been diverted to filing of patents. Let us make or start distinguishing between patents filed and technology actually developed and transferred to the industry, or processes developed and knowledge of the processes which have been accepted and appreciated by the society and industry. So a distinction should be made between patents filed and what actually has been achieved on the ground. And we should stop patting our back only on the basis of the number of patents filed, on the number of papers published, on the number of conferences attended. By the way, we do not even have facilities for our students and faculty to attend the conferences. So this is the first, at least this much should be allowed to our students and faculty members to move around the country, to interact with industry, to interact with other institutions and set up links. So there are many such things that I can in fact go on talking on this particular topic, but I would stop here and wait for your reactions on this and come back later.
Thank you, Dr. Vyas.
Thank you very much.
Give a big clap to Dr. Vyas. You brought wonderful ideas. First is increase the investment. Investment is very critical if you want to achieve any outcome. Input has to be critical. So that is one major point. The other one is competence. You build the competence for research and innovation through right kind of HR, infrastructure, PhD scholars, students, quality, who are interested in research and translation. The other one is flexibility and autonomy, which is required for innovation to blossom, that create that ecosystem. Develop verticals. particularly design capability India is lacking. So how do we build this design capability? Can we establish a number of design centers in IITs, private universities, central universities, all these places? These are all very, very important, and we'll bring this, we'll take you on again, some thoughts later also, whichever you might have left.
I'll come back. Yeah.
Dr. Purushottam has visited Amity for a number of times, and he has spearheaded NRDC in a big way, and he brought many, many radical changes in NRDC. And now he is there at Andhra University in Visakhapatnam. And we want to listen to you with your rich experience in NRDC and now interacting in Andhra University permanently there. So what do you think that as a university system, with both experience in government as well as in the university system, how do you bring a translational focus in the...
Thank you, Dr. Mr. Sallamurthy ji, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with the peers in the field. And also I'm very happy to see all my friends, colleagues, ex-colleagues on the dais and off the dais. It is a wonderful event. You are always in the forefront in organizing such kind of events, bringing all the talent in the country to a single platform for getting deliberated on the issues. I really compliment you, and I don't know from where do you get that kind of a wisdom and energy in bringing all the active people on the dais and get insights from them and implement them in your institution under the dynamic leadership of Chauhanji. You are really very fortunate to have such kind of a leadership. So coming to the questions what you have posed, you yourself have answered some of them, and Professor Vyas has already thrown some light, and we all know that the problems and the challenges are same since ages. There is no change in the challenges, but only in some challenges we are able to get solutions. Some challenges are being carried forward, and the degree of variations are there. If you compare over a function of time, the challenges remain same, but we all know these challenges will be there. It's a part of the development. If there are no challenges, there will not be any opportunities for our development. So the challenges, what we could see from based on our experience, based on our peers who are going to share their vision also on this. But as far as my understanding is concerned, the challenges what we need to address or what we need to strengthen, in our university system is that the primary and the most important thing is the culture. The culture is very, very important. The culture is is a foundation for all our growth and survival and making progress. Unless we build that kind of a positive culture, particularly culture, innovation culture, that's what we have been arguing, how to build that kind of a innovation culture. That is the key point. And of course, this point has been deliberated over centuries. But as I told you, with changing conditions in the market, changing conditions in the government policies, changing conditions, the global and geopolitics, the culture always has to be a dynamic culture, which is again a function of several parameters. The culture is one of the most important thing. Time to time, we should, evolve what should be our culture we should follow, so that we always will be on the top of the global universities, the Indian universities. The scenario is not that encouraging. If you look at the university rankings across the globe, there are not many universities or rather no universities in the top 100, in spite of our glorious performance and our history and traditions. So that is one important thing, is how do we build culture, particularly innovative culture in our universities. That, of course, some solutions have been already suggested. The second important thing is the leadership. Again, in the universities are the institutions which have been doing fairly well is because of the leadership. For example, your own Amity University. How Amity University is able to achieve so many greater records, it is because of vision and the dynamic leadership. That is very, very important, particularly in the state-run universities. The leadership is a major challenge, because most of this leadership are the vice chancellors, or the registrars, are being appointed by the political consideration rather than the meritorious considerations. So that is very, very important. The leadership is very, very important. There should be a national framework. The UGC or MHRD, Education Ministry, though they have some kind of a frameworks, but they have all been diluted at certain point of time where the implementation, happens. So that leadership is very, very critical. You have seen and we are all witness to the institutions which have been doing very well, without any political influence. The leadership is chosen and they have been delivering wonderful results to the nation. So this is also very, very important aspect. The third one is that the leadership, you should build a team with a shared vision. It's very, very important. We all know that all of you are very experienced in this. So the vision is important. You need to drive the team to have that kind of a shared vision. And of course, the most important thing is the funding. As Professor Vyas has said, for anything we wanted to do in a significant manner, funding is the most important thing. But the funding, what is happening is that though you said that Indians, we are great, with less input, we can produce more output. That is true. But still, there is a critical investment is required to achieve that kind of a global records. That is very, very important. Then the fourth one is, of course, the enabling policies. Particularly, we don't have many of the universities, we don't have R&D policies, we don't have innovation policies, we don't have IP policies, we don't have incubation policies and entrepreneurship policies. This, an integrated policy is required, to promote innovation, research, patents, technology transfer, commercialization, all these things, they're all one dependent upon the other. So all these policies we should have in place. Again, a national framework is required. Of course, the AICTE, UGC, and Ministry of Education have started, introducing such kind of a ranking systems. And also one recent observation, in the recent NIR of rankings, I've also analyzed, with reference to the patents and the NIR of rankings, you see, patents have been given 15 marks in the NIR of rankings. If you look at how many institutions have got 15 out of 15, hardly few, except the two eyes of India, that is IITs and IIMs, they only got the full marks. Other than that, not many people have got full marks in the patents in the NIR of ranking. The 10 to 15 marks bracket, only 7% of institutions who have participated in this NIR of ranking have got 10 to 15 marks. The 5 to 10 marks, around 14% of the institutions, and 1 to 5 marks for the patents, around 65% of the institutions, and less than 1 mark, 14%. So 1 to 5%, 1 to 5 marks, only around 70% of the institutions have got only 1 to 5 marks. That is the kind of scenario where we are. No, why I'm telling is this: patents are the backbone or the launching pads for technology development, technology transfer, technology commercialization. So, in a way, it also reflects the culture of the university, how they are spending their resources in developing a new technology and carrying out research and development. Once we have a good R&D, good infrastructure, and good faculty and good students, obviously the industry academia collaboration will be enhanced. This is very, very important. That is what is not happening. And coming to the kind of recommendations or suggestions, if you want from me, I have only 2 or 3 points I would like to bring it to the notice of all the policy makers. What we need to do is that, we should have definitely enabling policies to put inventiveness, creativity, humanity back into learning process. It's very, very important, which we have been missing because of the competition, because of the cutthroat competition available. We all need, our visibility in that process. We are cutting some of the pathways, and we are missing that. Of course, the new education policy to some extent, is trying to brought out those missing links so that the universities will rise to the preeminent, glory. Then the second observation is that, universities like Amity, and some IITs like IIT Delhi and IIT Chennai, IIT Kanpur, IIT Mumbai, they have also excelled in implementing or in designing some good policies, implementing those policies. I think we need to adapt a framework or develop a framework to replicate such kind of a success stories in some of the institutions where there is a potential to modernize them with such kind of a resources. Recently, I have seen one program in Ministry of Heavy Industry. Now we are all talking about Industry 4.0. They have evolved a policy, to replicate or to institutionalize or to establish the Industry 4.0 experiential centers. So they have identified one agency, and that agency is funded to replicate such kind of a establishment of Industry 4.0 experiential centers across the country. So such kind of a model could also be thought of, to promote IP, technology transfer, technology commercialization. We have been all talking since ages, but our commercialization rate is hardly 4 to 5% if you look at compared to the patent portfolio what we hold. But if you want to really enhance that, so such kind of models I think are definitely required, and it requires such kind of a funding and a scheme or to launch DSP and NRSG and all they are there. I very much fit into their agenda and mandate to replicate such kind of a centers, for IP generation, IP protection, and IP commercialization, at least in some of the selected areas which are important for our Indian economy. The second thing is that, another observation I recently made after a move from government to academia, there is a very potential danger is I have seen dangerous trend I have seen in the academia with reference to patent filing. Of course, I could also see there is a problem from the patent office side also, and also from the academia side also. So I have heard a terminology called, with many faculties and researchers, they said we are not interested to commercialize this patent. Mine is only academic patent. I don't know what is the meaning of an academic patent. Then after discussing with several faculty members, I understand what do they mean by academic patent. They are only interested in publishing their patent, getting a number so that the university gets the number, the faculty member gets, a weightage for publishing his patent. They all write in their biodatas, I published so many patents, but they are not interested to commercialize that because it cannot be commercialized because they are all saying that they are all academic patents. We are not interested for commercialization. Once it is published, that is sufficient for me. But I think that is a very dangerous trend. What I observed coming from the government to academia here, I think that we should try to stop it. Only the Indian Patent Office, I think we all need to tell them, to not to encourage such kind of patents. There should be that commercial angle, the commercial assessment angle also should be brought into this patent filing system. Otherwise, we will be having lakhs of patents, but if you look at the commercialization, there will be very poor number on that. So we will be, missing so many global opportunities by encouraging such kind of trends, And of course, you have been encouraging and you are a pioneer in promoting or establishing technology transfer offices. And of course, Wali Saab is I consider him as the father of the technology transfer. He is one of the earlier TTO in our country, and many people followed their pathways, their frameworks, established the technology transfer offices, and such kind of a replication of models are very, very important. And with these few observations, I will stop it over here and wait for my next turn again. Thank you very much, sir.
Purushottam. Let's give a big clap to Purushottam. I think you brought very important point of creating an innovation culture But that is important. Once you have the culture, it percolates down to the grassroots level. Then also leadership, very important. Who drives the innovation happening in the university ecosystem? Vice chancellors, research coordinators. How do you select the right people to occupy such positions? Dean research, pro VC research. Then create a vibrant team. Not only leader, but give him a group who will drive that vision to happen. Then enabling policies are very important. All these issues you brought very nicely. Thank you. We'll take you again maybe during the discussion points. Now I would move on to our Professor Rupender Tiwari. He is from the Punjab University, Chandigarh, and he is also founder and former chairperson of the Department of Microbial Biotechnology at Punjab University. And he is former IPR chair professor in Punjab University. And he has a lot of credentials. He has published more than 130 research papers. Then IPR is his very important domain in which he has done a lot of research, intellectual property for academia. So this is very important. He has actually worked in this area, did a very detailed research. Patents and publications in higher institutions in India is another publication, 2017, he has published. So these are all very, very relevant to the topic which we are discussing. And I have interacted with him on a number of occasions. He is again, I have found him to be a thought leader. So we want to listen to your wonderful thoughts. Dr. Tiwari, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Silvamurthy. Thank you for this brief and very lovely introduction. Honorable members sitting on the dais, I'm a very small fry for this program, and I'm just wondering, like, why I was selected for this. But it's my honor to be sharing the dais with my mentor, you can say, Anil Walij is sitting here. Like, he just hand-holding regarding whatever I've done in the domains of industry, academia. Neerajji, namaskar. And Neerajji is the one like who stood like a pillar. Like, I had many ups and downs. I had a little bit of tips with the Secretary DST regarding Center for Policy Research. He knows it. But in the end, I think like Punjab University DST Center has done a little bit in the domain of offering some policy insights. Dr. A.K. Singh, namaskar. And if you still recall, like, you are alumnus of Punjab University and you invited me to your institute in Delhi. So with this introduction, let me just see, I have prepared a few notes and the time is only about like 10 minutes. What I'm going to share my thoughts, maybe they become a part of the policy matter, or these are some of the things which can be done at the university level or at the DST level or any funding agency level. Now, I have noted down some points for the industry. What are the weak linkages in industry for promoting technology transfer? What are the weak linkages in the university system? And what could be done in these domains? So I'll start with the industry part. See, what happens is, if you look at the most of the industry which are going from the academia to industries, they are catering to the small scale industries. Large scale is not interested, large industries are not interested in us. I mean, they have their own ways and means to go to some other places. So what I'm saying is, like, these small scale industries do not have enough funds for R&D. They want a technology which can be 100% absorbed without any ifs and buts. This is what they are looking at. And most of the time, academia, when they present their technology, is not industry ready. Right? So we have to keep in mind, when we are catering to the industry, it has to satisfy their needs. Another is, industry doesn't know whom to approach for solving their R&D problems. They have enough of problems. But there is no platform where they can share it, no website where they can share their problem. Office of PSA just started this program. So they need to know at least regional institutes what they are doing, what are their strengths. Unko nahi malum, sir. Nahi malum. I'm sitting in Chandigarh, Punjab University. We have visited at least 50 industries. And they are surprised when they say, oh, you can do this, you can do that. हम तो China गए थे, हम तो Japan गए थे, हम Taiwan गए थे for these things. So they have to be made aware of the academic excellence which is existing in the universities, in the national research laboratories. They are not happy with the R&D incentives which are being provided by the government of India. Rather, बहुत कम कर दिए हैं sir, बहुत कम कर दिए हैं. So one has to look into that aspect also. And industry doesn't know their own problems. I repeat, industry doesn't know all their problems which are related with R&D. See, they come to you for one particular thing. Say, Hamara ji, this is what we are lacking. So can you do some R&D on it? And then we say, okay, we'll visit your plant. We go and visit the plant, and then we say, okay, you got this problem, that problem, and we can solve these also. And they are mighty surprised. Manu Sharma is sitting with me here. He is the coordinator of Technology Enabling Center. I'll give you an example. Some electroplating unit from Ludhiana came to us. Sir, hamari ye problem hai, right? And that electroplating unit takes the waste of at least 250 electroplating units of the state of Punjab. When we visited them and we said, we can do this thing, we can recover HCl from your effluent, we can take care of your lime problem, right? There were so many things. So he was so happy, he's given us right away. He gave us 10 lakhs rupees. Please do these things. So, and we have delivered, sir. We have delivered. So this is what I'm saying. Like when industry approaches us, please ask the academia to visit that industry, and there will be some other problems which we can solve. Now, shifting to the university system, sir, we all know Dr. Vyas, Dr. Purushottamji has told us, but please bear in mind, there cannot be a one-size-fits-all for the universities. On one side, we have got these professional institutes like IITs, IIITs, NITs, engineering, single domain, sir. Other side, you've got universities like Punjab, state universities. Okay, so there are close to like 95 subjects, languages, arts, humanities, and the vice chancellor has to deal with all those people. So things get diluted in the universities. Third is, we have universities, central universities, state universities, and now we have private universities. See, what happens is, if you look at the persons in the private universities, who are sitting in the universities, but they are delivering over there. Those universities can vie with Stanford University, Oxford, you name it, Texas University, these ones, they can deal with that because they got a lot of flexibility. Right? For their promotion, they can ask, okay, come out with one patent or two patent or technologies or whatnot, startups, right? But these things cannot happen in a state university, in the public university, sir. It's a socialist system here. You'll be there for 8 years, you'll be promoted with a couple of your papers. And it is very difficult to change this scenario. If this can be changed at the Ministry of Education level, sir, this is needed. Policy intervention is needed at that level. There cannot be the same salary structure for the technocrats and the people from other faculties. So one has to seriously look into it. Why would a professor, maybe a scientist, maybe an engineer, maybe a biologist or biotechnologist, why would he go into these domains when he can get promotion easily with publications? He has to be incentivized heavily to get into these domains, tech transfer. They can do that. The people who are doing it is just out of their passion, they are doing it. But passionate people, they can be just one person, maybe even less than one person. So we have to address these points also, sir. Now, coming to some of the suggestions which I have made, most of the scientists in state universities, they are not aware of the total package, right from an ideation to research and to go to the market. What are the different verticals? So they have no idea. They do some research in the lab, little bit of proof of concept, they go to industry, hamari technology ready hai, sir. They don't understand the meaning of DRLs. They do not know what accelerators are. Incubators ka naam sunke, sir. Right? So we got to teach these, tell these awareness is needed. Awareness to the level I've written like IPR. CPAM was created by DPIIT to promote intellectual property. CPAM is a big success, as far as I know, because I work in the domain of IPR. So similar thing has to be created by some agency, maybe DST. CPAM like body needs to be created to promote the last stage, what I call the valley of death. Isme pilot scale studies hain, aapki uske andar validations hain, technology transfers hain. So that part has to be addressed. Well-qualified professionals, technology transfers, they do not exist. We do have the centers, but actual professionals, we do not have it. Whatever we have is they are from the management domains. They have no knowledge about innovations. So can we have some FDP programs, faculty development programs, or some certificate course for the scientists, for the technocrats who can enter into this domain on technology transfers? We can look into those. And now, DST's technology enabling centers are well established. They are doing very well. We are happy over it. But DBT has their own TT offices. Office of PSA is coming out with the SNT clusters. So there has to be somewhere some data mining. Give you how many technology transfer centers or offices are here. We have TISC from WIPO in some centers. SNT councils, they have their own technology transfer offices. So we need to have a data and the expertise in this tech transfer domains. We need to prepare that. There needs to be a website also, sir, on that for technology transfers. Incentivize private sector for picking up technology from the universities. This can be one of the incentives we can look at. Identify universities. We already have tech, sir, but techs, they are under a scheme. Scheme means their life is only about like 5 to 6 years. My request to DST would be, Anita ji and others would be, please have a look at it. Don't close because you want them to be independent after 5 years. It is impossible. It is impossible. They cannot be. Please let me know any tech center in India which is self-sufficient. It's very difficult. Leave aside private universities, even in IITs. If you can tell me that this is self-sufficient. Anilji, the 1 or 2 can be exceptions. But here what we are looking at is at the large numbers. Okay. Second is, I'm talking about the human intervention. Again, I started with this. We have the private universities, we have the public universities. Infrastructure in public universities or public institutes, public research institutes is far better than in the private universities. But look at the number of patents, number of technologies which have been transferred, right? Because the institute's head or their leadership, they are putting emphasis on that. Right? So what are the reasons why they are successful and what is the model like MIT model we know a little bit. If a thorough study is done on the private institute, maybe the top 10 private universities, their tech transfer model, and they pick up like 5 or 6 from the state universities, right? And see what they have done and what needs to become. Another angle can be, can IITs attach 5 or 6 universities of their liking, whom they think there is some potential, and prepare them for the technology transfers, all those things. Okay. So regarding, yes, I have written a book which is called 600 pages, which is public-private partnership in R&D, all supported by DST. Neeraj Sharma is there. Usme, sir, I have mentioned the technology transfer programs of 17 countries. You name 17 top innovation countries. Right. So there we have like the Fraunhofer model is there. We have from, you look at in the USA, they have some industry, university, cooperative research centers in which the advisory council of industry decides the project. Kaunsa project jayega, kaunsa fund hoga. Okay. So catapult program in US, we can look into this. And lastly, which is very difficult, I know it's next to impossible, is so if government is serious about technology transfers, we need to have some acts. Patent Act hamare paas aa gaya. Just to give you an example, look at in America, they got Federal Technology Transfer Act, American Technology Prominence Act, Small Business Tech Transfer Act, National Tech Transfer Improvement Act. So if we really want to get into innovation, if we want to get recognized among the top 5 innovation countries, so government has to be serious about it. Seriousness will come only when there are acts. So this is in brief, I just wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
What a fantastic presentation. Let's give a big clap to Dr. Tiwari. You brought up wonderful ideas, Tiwari Saab, with your rich experience, wisdom, and your knowledge. The first focus you did on the industry academia connectivity. How do we strengthen? How do we bring mobility? professors moving to industry, industry people coming to understand the culture of universities. The mobility is very important. Create a national portal for posting problems because industry don't know where to go. So can we create a national portal in which the industry will post the problem and the IITs, universities, private university, everybody will go and solve the problems. Very good. Then the other one, you also focused on private universities also need to be strengthened. That's also national asset. So how do we strengthen like IITs and other central universities? How do we also bring that strengthening from the government as well as from public-private partnership? I will also add research and innovation park, which IITs have created, that has really paid dividend to bring all the stakeholders, industry on one hand, faculties on the other, and also the user could be a national laboratory or an organization like DRDO. Then capacity building. We should run large number of programs for capacity building in terms of technology transfer, commercialization. We need more professionals to do this. We don't have the professionals who are trained fully on this. So FDPs and capacity building, very important. We need more TTOs, technology transfer officers, and they should function well. It is not that they be established. You should be effectively functioning. And also, how do we share R&D infrastructure like IITs? Can they adopt some universities as their partners and active partners? Some could be horizontally coming up, but some they go there and then connect and they nurture the universities who may be less privileged in terms of having these R&D infrastructure like IITs. Then you look at the global model, federal tech transfer, desks and such things. How do we bring those best practices from across the globe? Very important point. Now the last speaker, we have Dr. Anil Wali with us. Anil Wali has been a part of our Amity University. In many occasions, I have interacted with him, learned a lot from him. And last 19 years, he has worked in the chemical industry. So he has an industry experience himself. And he is the managing director at the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer at IIT Delhi. And so I won't take much time to introduce. Everybody knows him. And he is the one who has strong industry connect. If FITT is doing so well, it is this Dr. Wali. Let's give a big clap to Dr. Wali. And we welcome you to share your thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Selvamoorthy, and thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be amongst very eminent people here. First of all, I think being the last speaker of the session, I think I start with an advantage that much of what has to be said on this very important topic and interesting topic has already been said. So as a matter of fact, I should only be just collating all the thoughts and maybe summarizing it and then sharing it with all others. But I think let me try to take a trajectory, a different one, slightly though. One is, my apologies, first, actually hadn't read the questions. I actually came across the questions only when Dr. Selvamoorthy read them. And now, the theme of the session, I believe, is a consequence or an outcome of an innovation ecosystem in whatever context we talk about, whether it's a university ecosystem that we are talking about or a national lab that we are talking about. So my additional questions to the one already posed should be like, what are our expectations or what should be the optimal outflows in economic value terms, or in a more broad-based sense, the socio or even the environmental outcomes from any innovation ecosystem? The second question, in addition to the ones, is should we be doing anything different than what we are already doing? And I think there are certain obvious answers to this particular question. And the third, I would believe, is the most important question. I think that would perhaps supersede all other questions is, are the university systems equipped to deal with disruptions going forward? Friends, if I have to now go back to the basics, the brass tacks, I would recap some of the points made by Professor Vyas, Dr. Purushottam, and Professor Tiwari in not exactly in the sequence, but I think in a very disorganized manner, if you may allow me. So I believe one of the most important factors for enabling the theme or the thematic ecosystem that we're talking about is leadership. And believe me, if you have a leader whose vision is aligned with future or a stage where it is continuously seeing disruptions, whether through digitalization or through any other socio-political upheavals, I think that is extremely important, because a leader is the one who is actually a champion of that particular change. He or she is the one who is actually going to put in place the team required to enable the ecosystem that we so all desire. And once we have that person, which I believe is the most difficult part in the first sense, in the place, I think half the battle is won. That's my belief. And I have reasons to buttress my arguments, but given the limited time that we have, so I'll not elaborate on that. The second point, which is obvious though, is having the right kind of infrastructure, or I would say optimal infrastructure in any given setting. Now, that infrastructure varies. Now, there could be a University A, which has, I think, fabulous buildings, fabulous infrastructure, but very little soul when it comes to academics. And then you go to another university, which is just a ramshackle set of buildings, etc., but I think Nobel laureates are coming out of that. So I think we have to look at these aspects from with the right context, with the right understanding. But yes, it goes without stating that you should have adequate infrastructure for top-class R&D, for all innovation-related activities, or enabling startups, for having corporate presence on the campus, and also have setups which enables creation of new skill sets to again address the challenges which might face. So I am deliberately trying to avoid speaking about issues which have been so eloquently done by my previous speakers. I'll not be speaking about that, which I think personally I have been doing for years together, whether it's technology transfer, intellectual property, blah, blah, blah. I've been doing for many years, so I'll not be speaking about that. The one point which was mentioned somewhere earlier was about culture, because now that is something which again is the responsibility of a leader, or let's say the leadership part of a university system. Now that leadership could be, let's say, at the level of a VC or at the level of founders, no matter what, but I think their vision has to translate downwards, and I think that's extremely important for the required change to take place. The third point, which I think I would want to, let's say, emphasize on is the policy part. Now, policies both at the national level as also at the institutional level. And believe me, that is extremely important to keep the engine running, particularly in the context in which we are speaking today. Now, whether it's about research funding, whether it's about technology development, whether it's about IP, startups, whether for students or for faculty members, whether it's about having performance metrics towards of the faculty scientists in the institution. That's all extremely important, because I think otherwise what happens, a university or any institution starts working in an ad hoc fashion, and that actually does not take you very long and very far. And it has also been very nicely brought about the issue of flexibility, the issue of funding, the right kind of investments, the right kind of incentive schemes in the system. Because believe me, having them, these are very, I think anybody can make off-the-cuff remarks about these things. But I have seen it from very close angles that once you have these structured and in your system, things are actually tend to take shape, and you actually see the results. And I don't have to mention some success stories which are there in the country, because I think let's not name them. Good things are always before everybody else. So I think we need not talk about that, even given the context in which I'm talking about my own background. And also, what these things do is these things throw up very good role models or very good success stories. And once you have them, I think the rest of the things take their natural course after them. Have one success story, highlight it properly, communicate it well to the community, and I think you have set the ball rolling. That's extremely important. And another point, I think, which was very fleetingly mentioned by Dr. Selvamoorthy was about research parks. And I think you will agree when we talk about the international model. So this is something we can be talking about as one wherein actually it brings all the stakeholders of an innovation ecosystem on one platform, and then the results are for everybody to see. So you have, let's say, for example, IIT Madras Research Park, if I have to give actually a name. And then, of course, there are other IITs. I also have been party to the creation of one at IIT Delhi. But I think these are very interesting models which can actually add a lot of value in an academic environment. Another point which was again fleetingly mentioned, but I think that needs emphasis, that tendency, it is always a tendency in all academic institutions, university systems, to do many things. That's fine. I have no issues with that. But I think to bring out some outstanding character of that institute or university, it should have very, very strong strengths in one or two areas, so that they become actually global, actual centers of excellence. आज हालत ये हो गई है, आज आपको कितने COEs या Center of Excellence इंडिया में हजारों हैं. अब उनका क्या हर्षद होगा भगवान जाने. But the issue is, you should have actually genuinely core centers of competence or centers of excellence, so that they are globally known and recognized and competitive. And when we also talk about the foreign models, or I think thankfully at the national level, we see so many of these models are being adopted in different formats, which is a good thing. And hopefully, I think more new best practices perhaps will be adopted in the country, and maybe at also the institution level. And I think that might also contribute to helping or strengthening our ecosystem. And last but not the least, friends, flexibility, etc., etc. I think if there's a need to relook at the operating models of an institution, when I say operating model, it could be a business plan for that matter, as simple as that. But I think having a relook at that, I think that will actually give us a strong indication of how to catch the bull by the horns and actually address the challenges which we at each individual university or institution might be facing to be able to deliver hugely on the economic front or on the innovation front. I think I'll rest my case here and may be able to address questions later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bali. Let's give a big clap to Dr. Bali. You re-emphasized on some of the issues like leadership and vision, which is critical, and also the policy at national and institutional level. Both are very important at two levels. Then optimal infrastructure. In this Sriman policy of DST, I would like to bring it to the notice that already policy exists in DST to share equipment, infrastructure, but then how effectively we do that? Because a country like ours cannot invest so much. How do we optimize the utilization of the existing infrastructure, like IIT Delhi? Or Sonipat, they have a very big center. How many of us are utilizing? What percentage of its capacity is being utilized? So we should bring the sharing culture, which will bring innovation. Then he also emphasized the model, Innovation Park, Research and Innovation Park, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi model. And you should develop real verticals and competence in centers of excellence. It's just not only in Samke centers of excellence, but they must really excel in certain domain, vertical by which that university or institution should be known. I think these are all very, very important. Now, I would spend about 10 minutes from the floor. I would like to ask, before we move on to the next in this panel, then I will hand it over to Dr. A.K. Singh. If there is any pressing ideas with some disruptive thoughts, anybody else? I'll start with Neeraj in case if you want to say anything on the so far deliberations. Just press that. Now it's on.
Actually, much has been delivered, much has been talked about. I remember when we started this technology enabling center, as well as the Center for Policy Research, both were directly under my domain in DST. And it has done reasonably well, both the domains. And I can see the progress made by DST. They have added few more technology enabling centers and also a few more Center for Policy Research. And in both, these are two interconnected topics. The policy fit the universities and the technology enabling centers. We found that there was a gap, as professors earlier, that research doesn't directly lead to commercialization or the efforts towards commercialization of technologies. And this gap was identified very well, as Professor Vyas also mentioned. During the 2018 year, in September, we took also help from Dr. Selvamurthy on this and in designing the technology enabling centers across the universities. I personally had very long talk and chats with the Honorable Founder President on this through email and through phone. Finally, we saw this, and getting the ideas implemented in government is really very, very tough. So you have passed through many stages when a scheme takes a shape. Professor Tiwari was mentioning about the Policy Research Center, and we have deliberations and up downs what we wanted from this. And I can see from his deliberations today that he is deep inside it. Now, we feel so proud of Professor Tiwari that you can now be the mentor for the policy research activities in the country, not only in, but the entire world. At least you can represent the nation for us. I will stop here. I wish all the best for all of us. It's an activity for together. You know, we are not working individually. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Neeraj is doing a great job in Amity University as the Deputy Director General for Amity Foundation for Science, Technology and Innovation Alliances. And now I would request Dr. Chakravarti, who has been also earlier in CSIR, now a number of years, more than 6 years or 7 years in Amity University, serving in the Amity Foundation for Science, Technology and Innovation Alliances. Over to you. What do you think? Don't have to repeat what has been already said, but bring in some new dimension, and over to you.
I think, as everybody said, most of the points have been covered. I don't know why we are always talking innovation at the academic setup. Innovation is innovation. It can happen in academics, it can happen in R&D institutions, it can happen in industry. So there is no distinctions. Academic setup doesn't need any special privilege to innovate. And yes, certain policy matters are very, very important, and basic infrastructure actually pushes innovation should be in place. But fundamentally, we should know these fundamental instruments or infrastructure which can push innovation. If you're talking about because some of the previous speakers said that approach was mostly from the small and medium enterprises, not from the big industries. Now, I come from CSIR, and I can tell you many of the top-notch industries, big multinationals, do approach CSIR to solve their problems at a hefty price. So the ball game is known to us. Only thing, we have to give it a push, and where set up play a very meaningful role years to come. Selvamurthy and Mrs. Kanoja create this platform, and I'm sure Amity will be taking it forward as it has already made its policy formulation with respect to patent and commercialization. Thank you very much for giving me this
Thank you,
opportunity.
Dr. Chakravarti. And we also have S&T warriors who will be implementing all that recommendation, what you have said in Amity ecosystem. We are learning from you all, and we will implement. I can see S&T warriors sitting here and also on the online. Now, Dr. Nutan Kaushik has been a great innovator. She is doing a lot of multilateral, bilateral projects, and also transferring technology from food domains. So how do you think as a professor, and also you worked in TERI before you came to Amity University, what is your experience? What are your issues, concerns, which our government and institution should address? Just a few thoughts.
Here, I would like to just point out 1 or 2 points. I think everything has already been discussed about. But one thing is that whenever we are talking about any research problem, wherever possible, we should think of the product first. What kind of product we are envisaging out of that research. We have that in mind. And if we also have the yardsticks like benchmarks, then probably we will have more focused output. And if the benchmarks are available right at the beginning, we know where we have to go and what to achieve. So that's first thing which we can keep in mind. And to happen, regulatory requirements are sometimes are not taken care of. So we can also make the scientists aware of what are the regulatory requirements. So sometimes there's a very good innovation, but because of the regulatory requirements, it cannot take off. So those things are also very important. Now coming to the incentivization, I just say that if patents can be in the PBAS or in the annual performance appraisal, if patent can be given twice the marks of the one publication, that would help the faculty, because certainly we should remove these book chapters and all that, because the faculties are most of the times are busy in writing the book chapters which doesn't yield anything. So that time can be given for this patent or some innovations. And second thing, the awarded patent should be given 5 times the marks of the any publication, published publication. So that can be given more aligned towards this thing.
Good ideas. I think these are wonderful ideas. The product should be visible, or the end point should be visible when you are commencing the first step. Where do you want to go? What will be the deliverable coming out? The other one is regulatory requirements related to that should be also known to the people who are doing that. Incentivizing is very important. Last, I'll take Dr. Gopal Bhushan, who has done a lot of innovation in DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization, and who is now with Amity University, with me as the Deputy Director General for Amity Science, Technology and Innovation Foundation. Dr. Gopal.
Thank you, sir. A small observation. I think the common denominator in all this, we have non-availability of funds or lack of funds. So my view is that if we separate 2 entities, centrally funded, state funded, like IITs or universities, etc., and private owned universities, because there's 2 different kind of motivation. A government funded institution probably is more of a CSR or SSR kind of activities, which may not be that regimental or may not be that strict on return of investment. Whereas in private institution is more of a commercialization of activities, which leads to fund generation, which leads to return on investment. So that probably, if we can look into different aspects, so that would give more insight into commercialization. Secondly, also that I don't agree to the extent which has been said that we lack policies, we lack the motivation, we lack leaders. I think we enough of leaders, enough of motivation in the faculty is just own willingness to towards, because as I see in last 1 year in academics, people are too busy, faculty are too busy in product development research. So we need to give benefit doubt on these aspects also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gopal. That is, optimize the workload for people who are involved in innovation. Because stretching yourself, going beyond publication and patents require many strenuous steps to give the endpoint of a product. Thank you. Now, with this, I conclude this first panel discussion. And the second panel will be by my colleague, Dr. A.K. Singh, again, another distinguished scientist, and who is also was the DG, DRDO. And now he is with us in Amity University as a great value addition in the SNT War Room, as well as in the AFSTIA, Amity Foundation for Science, Technology and Innovation Alliances. Now, Meenakshi, he can just go ahead, or you want to introduce him?
Yeah, sir. First of all, I thank Dr. W. Silvamurthy, sir, for wonderfully conducting this session. And I am thankful to our esteemed panelists and all the dignitaries on the dais for making their excellent deliberations. Now, may I request Dr. A.K. Singh, sir, to kindly conduct the session, the next session. And before moving further, I would like to introduce Dr. A.K. Singh, sir. Dr. A.K. Singh presently working as Senior Vice President at Amity Foundation for Science, Technology and Innovation Alliance at Amity University, Noida.
Meenakshi, I take liberty of requesting you. I think we can utilize this time in a more gainful way.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Namaskar Chakravarti Sahab, Namaskar Tiwari Sahab. मिलेंगे फिर चक्रवर्ती साहब after long time I could see you.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead, Meenakshi.
Good afternoon. At the outset, I appreciate and congratulate Meenakshi, Dr. Meenakshi, for choosing this topic, that is translational research and commercialization in the university ecosystem, a solution approach via policy and strategy recommendation. I think in the first panel, we have already covered the policy aspect of this topic. And I also, appreciate the permission given by founder president and chancellor and supporting this kind of event in the university. All esteemed panelists, previous and present
In a meeting.
Arvind Chaudhary, Dr. Sudha, and I am not sure whether Dr. Nirankar Saxena is present or not. All the colleagues, Dr. Silvamurthy, Dr. Vali, Dr. Neeraj, Dr. Sanjay, Chakravarti, and Madam, and Gopal Bhushan and other friends. Now coming to the translational research, I think I was listening to the previous panelist in the previous session. I think somehow we focused mainly on innovation and technology transfer. Somehow the translational research got undermined. And when we talk of translational research, basically we are in simplest way addressing what we know to what we practice. What we know to what we practice. And if I go to commercialization, then what we practice, how we make money or how we push the economy. This is the basic understanding which I have, though policy and strategy. But in the present context, I will say that a strategy should drive the policy rather than other way around. So strategy is very important because if you really see this, if you have the good strategy, you succeed. So I'll focus that what do I think and what is in my mind on strategy. The first and foremost thing which I want to say that translational research is complex complicated, time, money consuming, needs infrastructure, needs good HR, good leadership, what we have heard. And do we have any option not to do the translational research? I think we do not have option. The first thing in strategy, what we need is mindset. I think we must inculcate the translational thinking in the researcher. What little experience I had, I find that researchers, they will do research. They will generate the data just for publication. Means over a period of time, if you really see they make heap of bricks and they do not pile up the bricks. So at the end of the day, you have the lot of data, a lot of knowledge, but we are not able to make sense of the data, sense of the knowledge. This is one thing which I want to convey. Then prioritization. I think one of the previous panelists did say, or I would say the focused, because the canvas of research is big and any institution cannot do translational research in all the areas. To be more focused, I'll say that we should have the strategy to focus, to prioritize some of the areas in a calibrated way, and we put more time, energy, and resources in that to achieve the success, and then slowly we can translate that model to other areas. And why this point draws more importance in the university system, then I'll say that too in the university system and particularly in the private university system. As pointed out, this is a money and the HR driven activity. So it would be prudent if we have focused and the prioritized areas. Then how do we prioritize? We can prioritize based on the strength of the institution, the infrastructure available, the problems which we are facing either at the local level, regional level, national level, or at the global level, that one can decide, but we need to be focused on that. Another strategy should be, then when we talk of translational research, it goes from basic research, and if I convey in terms of technology readiness level, then it will go from 1 to 9. I think it is very difficult, I will not say impossible, for any university to cover the whole 1 to 9 and beyond that. So what we can do, we need not to do 1 to 9. We can also interject at 3 or 4, taking some already available knowledge and just pushing it ahead as per our need. Then we should have a strategy to understand the business of translation and innovation. A lot has been said about innovation, because translational research is a different ball game. It is not that I am carrying out experiment and publishing. What Nutan Kaushik said, it was a very important point, that you have to see the solution. When I say solution, then you should understand what are the steps when my research will take shape in the form of a product. I should be aware of all the aspects of this whole journey. I should keep them in mind, and I should prepare in advance and address questions in advance so that my journey is smooth and the process is hastened up, because you wouldn't require the knowledge of regulatory aspects, certification aspects. If it needs a clinical trial, then clinical aspects, standards, anything and everything. So we should understand the business. We should have the strategy to understand the business. Lot had been said on the HR, because HR is the driver, it is the propeller. So we should hone the skills required for translational research and innovation to the HR. And for translational aspects, it cannot be, single subject. You need a multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity. I think this is being supported. This is embodied in the new education policy. Then strategy to have the framework in the institutions, institutional framework, which will include what they want to do, what are the priority areas, how they will do, how they will generate the resources, how they will time to time monitor, support, mentor that and facilitate, and how they would manage their IPR. All these framework or some guidelines should be available in the respective institutions. When I say respected, because each institution would have certain specific issues and aspects. Another point, the strategy to integrate what Dr. Tiwari was highlighting, because how do we connect industry, national institutes and university? When I say national institutes, IITs, ICERs, IIITs, etc. There has to be an integration. And when I say integration, means it is a relay race, but not in the circular form, in the linear form. So that what I can do, let me do. Because let's say university system, they have the best of the HR resources, but they will have certain limitations. The thing which I can do, let me do, and which can be raised to the national institutes, then to the industry, but keep everything in full right in the beginning. And one more thing, we had been talking the patents going into the commercialization. Here, I have a different take. Patents will be commercialized. If you really see, I will be very blunt and frank. We had been filing patent for the sake of filing patent. We knew that this patent will not be commercialized. But I think we have to come out of it. It is high time. It is being highlighted. That time is over than when the numbers counted. And how do we can do it? That in a very calibrated way, we have to start working at the higher level. We cannot do research at the lower level. We have to go to the more complex, means high risk, high gain type of a research. Slowly we have to move to that level. And I think things may be easy now with the advent of many technologies, because to go do the translational research, now we have many tools, many understanding. So that what we call the valley of death. And now I think we can overcome, then we need not to pass through the valley of death, but we can jump it because the available technologies, knowledge, we can do that. I think with this perspective, I'll go to my panelists, though I might have taken a bit more, but you will excuse me for that. I think I will introduce the first panelist, Dr. Arun Chaudhary. I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Arun Chaudhary. He had been my colleague in DRDO. Dr. Arun Chaudhary had been my colleague in DRDO, and I really enjoyed interacting and working with him. A very fine officer. And at the moment, he is Director, Industry Interface and Technology Management at DRDO headquarters, looking after all the technology management and technology transfer aspects. Earlier, he has served in SASE in Manali. I'll just highlight main things. He is an Antarctican. He had been to South Pole, means Antarctica and Arctic. And he has also worked in low intensity conflict areas, then Combat Vehicle and Engineering Directorate, where he was responsible of developing various low intensity conflict technologies. And he is BTech, Mechanical Engineering from Pantnagar, MTech in Satellite Technology and Applications from IISc Bangalore, Certified Reliability Engineer for American Society of Quality, and he is the alumni of National Defense College, which all you know, it's a very coveted place, and we are proud of him. Very limited civilians have the opportunity to be NDC. With this words, I welcome you and thanks for accepting the invitation of MIT. Now may I have your comments?
First of all, let me thank the MIT University for inviting me and calling me, giving me opportunity to share the chair or the dais with two of my gurus sitting on left and right both me. They are mentor, and we always in DRDO always aspire that sometime we will sit with them, we will get the time to discuss things or technologies with them. So thank you MIT University for providing this opportunity. And I'll just start. What I'll say is I'm basically responsible for transfer of technology to industry, for the commercialization by them, and also to support the industry, how they can develop the technologies. For this, we have number of policies. So what I'll say is for any technology development, there are 4 stakeholders, right? First, the top one is the user who projects the requirement. The government policies is the second, or the policies or the government. Third one is the developer, the academic institutions, the R&D organization, and fourth one is the production agency. So now earlier there was a concept that each one has a role at the TRL levels 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9 and all those. But now within the scenario where the technologies are changing fast, the life cycle of a technology itself is very short. So it is very imperative, very essential that all of the stakeholders, especially the developers and the production agency, has to come together and realize the technology at the faster pace. What at DRDO we have done, we have made our policies in this line. Earlier what we had is the research board or the IPR activities where we fund the institutions, the private, public, or the individual to carry out the research, bring out the concept up to the TRL level 3 or 4, basically in the academic institution. Then DRDO will take those and give it to the industry for further productionization or commercialization, whatever you call it. So translation part was with DRDO actually. Now with our experience, what we have done is we have opened the Center of Excellences in the universities and IITs. Parallelly, we had the number of schemes running which were supporting the R&D at the industry also, taking TRL level 3 onward. So like the TDF was there, then the other schemes are also there. So with this experience, we found that competency is there at both the places. And if we merge these two things, academia, DRDO, and the industry, we can achieve better results. So what we have converted our Center of Excellence is DRDO Academia as the DRDO, Academia, and Industry. We call it DIA, DRDO, Industry, and Academia. These centers have been identified, made. 15 of them are currently functional, and they are identified as Dr. A.K. Singh sir has also mentioned, and the Professor Vyas also mentioned, Dr. Gopal Bhushan also mentioned, each center or each university has to identify its strength. They have to identify where they can be the center of excellence, where they can contribute more. Accordingly, these centers have been made. And with the aim that these centers will not work independently, they will act as a big brother for the other universities in the area or the other industries in the area to support in the research activities, especially for transferring the TRL 3 to 6. That's the translation. That's the idea which we have done. The second part, what we have done is all stakeholders have to have the trust between them. And this trust comes when you have the transparency among all. It is basically defining the role of each and every stakeholder. What we have done is we have made the policies, we have put them in the public domain, and these are available to each and everyone. So it's a level playing field. It's the transparency among the all stakeholders. So why I'm bringing this point is, I'll just give one example. We started transfer of technologies to the industry somewhere start in early 80s. Till 2014, we had no policy. Basically, it was on the case-to-case basis. We take the citizen and we transfer technology. 2014, we brought our first guidelines or the policy. It increased the number within 5 years. It was doubled. The rate of the technology transfer was doubled. We took the feedback from our stakeholders. We improved our guidelines. Again, in 2019, we issued a new policy directive. And during this last 3.5 years or 4 years, the rate of the transfer of technology is 4 times now. So this is the transparency and the feedback taking from your stakeholder. So all these translation or whatever activity you take, the feedback of the stakeholders is very much important. As of now, we stand as Selva Murthy sir has mentioned, 1,600 TOTs, more than 1,000 industries are our partner in this. Further, as I mentioned, that DIAs, we are assuming they will act as a big brother role. What we have done in DRDO, we have opened up our facilities. Somebody mentioned about the test facilities and the infrastructure. We do understand these are very expensive, very specialized, and not very frequently used in the institutions. So we have created the facilities, and these facilities are available, made available, they are online available to our academia, to our industry. Similarly, patents, we have opened our patents. We are trying to fund the research, the risk of the R&D through our research boards, through our TDF scheme. So at last, what I want to say, it will be a joint efforts. It will not be the university alone will be doing it. It has to be the government policies, the institution, the R&D organizations, the other institutions. So at last, what I'll say is 2 points. One is the identification of the strength of the institution, MAT, or any university for that matter. Identify the area or domain where you want to work. Sir, I would like to extend one of the invitation from my management to the MIT University. The formal invite will come. On 27th, we are having a function where we are launching 75 priority area for the academia and industry to take up. So out of these 75 areas, we have identified where the academia should come up, take the projects. These have been further divided into the, you can say, project areas, which are out of 75, we have converted 200 project area. And from 200, we have come down to the 1100, the task. So these tasks are available for the industry and the academia. We will send you the formal invite, sir, but request you to join us on that. Then the other one is the commercial activity. For commercialization, as Gopal Bhushan sir mentioned, the funding, like in DRDO or in the public funded organizations, we have minimized the cost of the TOT because we are not the profit earning. But that model which we are adopting need not to be applicable to you or to the private funded institution. So that model has to be correctly chosen, whether the royalties to be given priority or the fees to be given priority. That is the another area. The third one is maybe the policy on the cross culture or the deputation of the academician to the R&D organization, the industry. What we have started, we have done it with the institution, academic institution, sir. And now we are taking up the case for the transferring or posting DRDO scientists to the industry. Very good. So that's the another initiative we have taken. So we are not looking at isolation. We are looking at a whole ecosystem. So these are the initiative. Maybe the institution can also take up something like that, if they can send the faculties to us for training or for things like that. So that's the things that I have to say. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Dr. For very smartly bringing out the initiatives taken by you and how they have reached to fruition, like DRDO Academy, industry, cohort, revising TOT policy, which has led to enhanced number of technology transfers. And the most important is what you have done is risk mitigation of the universities of private universities, because I think that is one of the deterrent in the private higher education institutions, which stops people taking risk in research and development. This is a wonderful step. And posting of scientists to the industry, I think that's a great effort. Thank you. Now, you want to say something? No. Now we will go to second panelist. I can see Dr. Sudha Mysore, and I'll just introduce you. Dr. Sudha Mysore is currently serving as a Agri Innovate India Limited. It's a Government of India company, and she was principal scientist at ICAR, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore, and she has 33 years of work experience in ICAR. She is a Fulbright, pre-doctoral and postdoctoral fellow with rich working experience at Cornell University and Michigan State University and East Lansing, USA. Her research efforts include economic analysis, impact assessment, research and technology transfer, and commercialization, incubation. And she had handled various research projects from World Bank, ICAR, etc. And she has numerous recognitions. If you believe me, I think at least 12 countries I can read. I think to respect the time, Madam, we all are eagerly waiting to listen to you. The floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's always a pleasure being with Amity University, Dr. Selvamurthy. We met so many times, and I think what you're doing is a wonderful job. And Anita and also Dr. Neeraj Sharma, it has been a wonderful journey, and I really appreciate the way we have gone ahead. And I think the panel, the chair has presented extremely nicely what exactly is to be looked at. I represent a little different segment because I come from agricultural sciences. So probably there is a lot of crops, varieties, and technologies which we are looking at, and which are low value, high volume crops. Sometimes they are low value. And when we look at translational research or commercialization, it's a totally different ball game. But ICAR has adopted a 3-tier policy in 2006. And ever since technology commercialization has been going on extremely well at ICAR. We have a policy, very well defined policy, which was adopted in 2006. Then we started strategy. The strategy was that each research institute, we have about 100 research institutes with the ICAR. These out of 100, almost, we started with 25. As on date, about 93 research institutes have a technology transfer office, well-equipped technology transfer office, which is very well funded, and have a capacity to provide capacity building and also to identify technologies and get them patented or protected and then start commercializing. So we started all this journey in 2007-8. And by 2014, we realized that we need to also have what is known as an incubation facility. It's not enough if you transfer a technology and expect the person who's taken the technology to start on his own and commercialize it. It may be difficult. Then we started what is known as incubation facility in 22 of our research institutes. Today we have 50 incubation facilities in our research institutes, which provide on-site and off-site incubation support so that a person who takes a technology can utilize infrastructure and develop the technology products and also commercialize it through the market system that we have established in these research institutes till he settles himself and starts on his own. The other way is that even if a person comes with his own idea, we also encourage business incubation models and help them establish themselves or test it and also take it to the market so that we are minimizing the cost involved in that kind of a transfer or taking it to the market. So this is something like we've started this, and we had a policy of, we gave what do you call it as non-centralized model, where each research institute has been provided the guidelines and technology transfer offices were taking forward the whole thing. But soon we realized that there is a problem for ICAR having those so many technologies and so many institutions. It's better you have a centralized model. That's how a company has been established in 2011. That is Agri Innovate India Limited. It is a for-profit company. Before Agri Innovate was established, we used to take help of NRDC for all our commercialization aspects, just like most of the CSIR institutions. But then we realized that it is better, ours being very typically different products are there. That's why we started our own company. And that's what I was taking care of it. Now, just to start, it's a 100 crore company, which was actually when I took over in 2018, was just roping in the dark. But soon we managed to put it on a platform and we commercialized more than 300 technologies. And the turnover was about almost 16 to 17 crores. And today, I think they've touched about 20 crore turnover has come. So what we've realized is that I think whatever has been discussed since morning or since the first session, what we've realized is that somebody pointed out, like you need to have a product. You need to understand what the market requirements is. Yes, absolutely right. We also started with having a product and trying to market it. Then we realized that it is not the correct thing. And also when the product is there, especially when you talk about biopesticides or that kind of a products, regulatory compliances is very important. And when the product is regulatory compliant and has a TRL level of at least 4 or 5, then commercialization becomes very, very easy. Now, as on date, what I felt the strategy we have been adopting is a non-exclusive policy. First come, first serve. Whoever comes first, we are handing over the technology if they are paying up the amount and following the criteria that is laid out. But now we are realizing that maybe if you want to have a real impactful technologies to come forward, it is important to have a collaborative kind of a mode. When you have collaboration starting right from the beginning, before the technology is, you start the technology generation process itself, you should involve the private sector or call for expression of interest and follow the guidelines and bring out the person together so that you could work together and come out with the product. The underlying condition being that such results will have a certain amount of exclusivity will be demanded, because a private company, when it comes, it will expect some amount of profit to be earned. So if you can introduce that element of partial exclusivity or limited exclusivity into the guidelines, I think then we'll go forward. So we are at the stage where we are trying to remodify the guidelines and introduce this component of limited exclusivity so that our value of the technology is taken care of. I can give you a couple of examples. In onion storage structures, we interacted with one company, and with the help of the company, we have come out with the storage infrastructure, which is very useful for a large number of farmers. But here you cannot have, the institute by itself could not have managed to develop such a technology. The collaboration has helped, and so we are having a partial exclusivity. Similarly, like when it comes to some trait-specific germplasm or genetic specificity, we have to interact with the private companies and then distribute or make sure that the trait is equally tested all over. So there again, we need to have some amount of exclusivity. So these are some of the policies that we need to take into account if you want to be commercially successful. Now, I think much has been spoken about. It's very important to have the right mindset. It's very important to have a person who understands at the helm of affairs. And the strategy has to be tinkered once in a while and the policy has to be changed, then only you can go forward. One more thing I would like to add here is that I represent research institutes which are basically looking at only research. Now, but we also take along the university system. The agriculture universities, there are about 70 or 80 agriculture universities that are there. We are helping them, and we say that as far as ICR is concerned, the agriculture universities need not have to reinvent the wheel and have a policy. They can directly just adopt the policy, and Agri-Innovate is willing to help them and take the technologies to the masses. We've already done this, and about 4 institutions, we have already commercialized technologies. And of course, the most important things are these have to be incentivized in terms of monetary terms for the innovators, and we have a very clear policy where the monetary benefits are passed on to the innovators. The other thing is that we do have a system in place where these technology innovations are identified, the scorecard which helps them obtain promotions. Even in that, the technology developed, technology commercialized, and if it is spread to beyond a certain level also are being taken into account. So this is very nice thing that if Amity University can help some of the other universities, like somebody mentioned about IIT, that's a wonderful thing. And Agri-Innovate and ICAR is more than willing to help any university, not just agricultural alone, but any university, and we would like to be part of it. And our experience is absolutely, I would say like it's a huge success. And as somebody mentioned, success stories have to be highlighted, integrated. I am more than willing to help and more than willing to be part of this whole thing. And it has been an absolute satisfactory that I am amongst the elite of all these people. And I'll be too happy to help you in any which way. Thank you so much. You have any questions, I'm willing to answer. Thank you.
Madam, thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for talk. Technology absorption, then talking of the importance of collaboration, and highlighting the role of private sector, then sharing success stories, and also emphasizing the mindset. Before we close, I think we have many senior faculty members sitting with us. I have named 8 senior faculty. So I think we can have quick comments from all of them one by one. And I may take liberty of requesting Dr. Sanjay Kumar first.
Thank you, Professor Singh, and all the panelists. I think the views were fantastic. I have, interacted quite intensely with several stakeholders. Maybe they are farmers, they are entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, and I had that opportunity. My view is, and also listening to all the panelists and the chair, if we have a policy that we open our doors also for the general grassroots innovators. They have a lot of ideas. We have the capabilities and we can integrate both of them. I think new things come, and that thing will be which matters to India, which matters to a common man. And that will be, I think, a new paradigm. And we also felt what Dr. Sudha was mentioning about sharing the royalty model, exclusivity, etc. And when we deal with the farmers, the situation is very different. I think if we develop a model wherein there is some seed money with the organization, which is there to support the farmers. And once that farmer is converted into an entrepreneur, I think that will be a stage when we can think of getting something back, not for us, but for the national development. I think if these two things, because other people have other things to mention, but I think these two things will certainly change the face of India. We give solution to the India.
Thank you.
Can I just quickly respond to you, sir? Sir, very good point you raised. We have actually done this already at the Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. Like Katal, all of you are aware of jackfruit. There are several varieties of jackfruit. It's very nice. It's almost coral red jackfruit. We have entered into a reverse MOU with the farmer. The institute multiplies it and sells it and gives 75% of the proceeds to the farmer and 25% is taken by the institute. This has already been PPBFR registered. So like you said, there is seed money, there is all this entrepreneurship development. We really work with the grassroots levels. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, madam, for comments. Now I invite Hirdesh. Hirdesh, you would be very brief. Let me share that the Honorable Founder President had permitted to open the MIT Institute of Translational Research, keeping the importance of translation research in mind. And he heads that institute, Professor Hirdesh Prakash. But very brief and quick comment.
Actually, it's a nice session going on. So I would like to add only with a minor point as instructed by A.K. Singh, sir. So my point here is that we should identify a domain which is new and which is complementary to the particular institute where we are trying to install the new direction. And if we talk about the translational research, we should be real translational, as indicated by Dr. A.K. Singh, that we should always try to go up and higher in our TRL level and go to the approach to a natural calamity, natural problem solving attitude. So that's what I would actually contribute.
Thank you, Dr. Hirdesh. Can I request Dr. Subrajit? He is director of MIT Institute of Biotechnology.
Definitely. Molecular medicine and stem cell research. Thank you. Just I want to point out that is in our institute, our major focus is the height risk, and that things also pointed out. So my opinion is that if you think about the quality research, first thing is first thing is the investment is very important, and another thing is that not necessary investment is only one parameter, because parameter is the communication. That is, we always do research cell to cell communication, like researchers, scientist to scientist, and the industry partners as well as medical clinicians. It's the communication is more important. So it's very nice day to day, that is we are learning regarding the communication and go up and upliftment of the research, and especially bench to bedside, and that is the translational part of the ultimately to go for the products and the processing also, of course. Not only product, that is we have to think about the processing also. That is also important part of the intellectual property from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Subrajit. Now may I request Dr. Manoj Garg?
Thank you. So in my opinion, it is important to understand that what are the ground level problems in the field of medical science. Specifically, like our department is more focused on cancer research. So we actually look for the problems which are associated with the drug resistance, or the processes or the technologies which is required for the delivery of the right molecule in a right form to the patient. So because of that, many things has changed to the clinical level, like now nano or doxorubicin is there. Earlier people used doxorubicin, which is not as potent as the nano doxorubicin. So this change has come when there was a direct contact between the scientist and the clinician, that what the clinician face in the clinic and how the scientist can resolve them. So if these things go hand to hand with a little more understanding with the industry requirement. For an example, if you make something, but that is not in the parameter of an industry, then whatever you have created is become to the zero ground. Then the industry has to work in a different way. So I think these three has to come together as a one component if we think about the innovation, patent, and really into a product-oriented approach in the market. That's it.
Thank you,
sir.
Dr. Mo. Can I request Dr. Monica Joshi?
Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for providing me a chance. My submission is in that case, sir, I am from nanotechnology department. We have around 100 patents, filed patent. Out of that, 24 granted patents from our department. My submission is in the reverse order. If we have first take the industry output, that what is their requirement, and accordingly we can relate our patents, because in Amity we have lot of patents, and transfer it in terms of technology, then I think it is a more close linkage between industry and academia.
Okay, thank you. Can I request Dr. Amit Khadakwar?
Thank you, sir. I am from Amity Institute of Microbial Technology, and we are working in the area of helping sustainable agriculture by using plant microbe interaction, rather beneficial plant microbe interaction, for enhancing crop yield and reducing chemical fertilizer and pesticide usage by developing novel innovative biocontrol technology. We have transferred 2 technologies to 5 companies, including one international company also in Taiwan. But my submission is, sir, is that we do transfer the technology, but the industry somehow is not transparent in terms of giving us the volume of even the sales. So we don't know how far this technology has penetrated. So we should be more transparent in the dealings with the industry. Industry rather should be more transparent and give out with the actual sale data that will help us to know where we have made the impact. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Quick comments from Dr. Yogendra Singh.
Thank you very much, sir. So, as a policy institution, thank you very much, sir. As in policy institutions, my submission is the clear-cut policy guidelines for this policy research, research in the institution. Thank you.
Okay, and Dr. Ranu Naik.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. This was really a fruitful discussion. So I wrote all the points, the question that Selvamurthy sir has put up. I'll try to answer them one at a time. Specifically, like what are the factors that can support translational research? I think what Amity strongly needs is a good workshop. There are several times we lack this kind of workshop. We are running around and losing the time. And I am actually a Big BIRAC grantee, Big BIRAC 18 grantee. So I work with FITT Delhi. I often go to IIT for that. And they have an amazing openness. That kind of flexibility is needful here also. I miss that here. It's been very tough for me to get permissions to even go to IITs at odd times. But well, I do have with like permission from Honorable Founder President, ultimately I could make it. But it is not so easy here. What I find there, people can come around anytime and do whatever they want. Moreover, the incubator they have a lot of facilities, which I think
Well, we do have here and there in several labs, but at one place where everybody knows that yes, this is the incubator where I'll find all these facilities for my testing and validation, for even characterization. So those are the things I think that these are the factors that how we can support translational research, and yet of course technology transfer. And next question was how can we strengthen the bridge between university and industry? Again, I think we should have more of techno fair kind of a thing. I am a part of this FITT group. Almost every day they're throwing open houses for startups, for technologies and all. Every other day, every week they'll have something or the other. So I think we should also follow these kind of open houses, techno fairs where everybody can participate, not just like Sanjay sir said, students should also be welcome, faculty should, anybody and everybody can have an idea. So those kind of fairs that we can have experts from different domains to judge them that what TRL they are at, and then they can be nurtured. Those kind of things are, I think, needful and can help. And regarding policy initiatives, maybe I cannot comment right now. Incentivizing, yes, of course, incentives would definitely inspire the users. And global models, I believe we have a lot of faculty who are in touch with international like universities and all. We have MOUs also. So if the S&T Warrior team, they can look into this matter that like which faculty is in touch with whom and what are the stream they work on. And if they try to feed in and go there to their website and see their model, and then if we can relate to them through that one connect of that particular faculty, that may help.
AK Singh, before we go to the next discussion, with your permission, I would now request Honorable Founder President, who has been listening to the conversation all through, and he is still there, and then I have requested him to make some remarks and give his blessings, because he lives innovation. He breathes innovation. So for him, innovation is genuine, the passion. That is whatever Amity has achieved today is because of this Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, the founder president, who spends 18 hours a day, of which 16 hours in innovation. He spends more time for research innovation. So that is how he is, whatever Amity has been able to achieve in patents, 30 technology transfers, and now a new momentum for translational research. So thank you, Founder President, for this impetus you are giving for the nation, not just only to Amity, through Amity to the nation. May I now request you to give you are a entrepreneur, academician, and also a successful innovator. So we would like to listen and give margdarshan for innovation at the national level. Over to you, Founder President. Founder President, are you there? Is Founder President coming online now?
So one second. So this sent one words of it to you also.
Right.
Are you saying that sir, please check that.
Okay. So in the meantime, we move on to the.
In the meantime, we can request Sushmita Shukla.
Sir, may I add a couple of points here? I'm here. Yeah, after her. Yeah.
Okay, after that.
Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed the important panel discussion which we had today, and very much thankful to Selvamurthy sir and all the respected members, A.K. Singh sir, for organizing such an important panel discussion where we came to know about the different important things which we should follow. Might be we were not doing so. So first of all, about the incubation and the different part which we are talking about, yes, TTOs. We are having about 5 TTOs in India, which I know, and as Selvamurthy sir said, that we need to have more TTOs. And the same here, I also expect that, yes, we should be having
more TTO so that we can transfer our technology directly. As I've already have the patents and all in my name, and I'm a plant biotechnologist where I'm propagating all the plants and all. So protocols are ready, but again, I'm looking for the industries and the different partners who can take this and they can go and go for the field work which we are lacking. So I think, sir, if we are having the incubation center, which we are already having here, but I want that as we are already going in this particular change model of the facilities, infrastructure and all, if those incubation incubators should have some of the specific instruments designed there. For example, suppose if I have developed a protocol, so my student, if they want to start their own startup or want to commercialize that and start their own industry, they can go, they can incubate there, and then they can start their startup and come into the market. That is one thing. And second thing, as Nutan ma'am already said, that remove the book chapters from the PBAS. I request that you can minimize it, but do not fully remove. But yes, in terms of incentives, which you're talking about, yes, for patent, granted it is there. For filing, it is again, I feel it's very minimal point, or it's zero, I think. So for filing patent also, I would request that in PBAS and all, that point should be also incorporated. So, and about, again, the third point, nowadays skill universities are being started, which again, another important parameter which is being seen. So likewise, those courses can be also incorporated where again, we can develop those skills and directly can be incubated to our own incubators. And in a similar way, the biotech park are working the same way we can also function. So that is my suggestion.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, to answer these couple of questions which was raised by you, so I just want to add here that I'm making the governing council of the ACTR now, and where the many scientists, international scientists, there will be at least 5-6 international scientists proposed. Once they, and I got the consent also, now the next step would be to make a website of the ACTR and connect all those faculty scientists working abroad. And then what I'm trying to establish is a bi-directional association of ACTR with those labs which are in the, for example, John Hopkins, I've got a consent from the John Hopkins, Texas and MIT. So once these MOUs and everything is in place, then we can share the dialogue with them. We can invite them for the offline and online talk. And I'm starting the various series of the workshop where we will train the manpower for the translational research. What is the actual meaning of the translational research? What are the parameters and steps required to enhance the TRL? So wait for some more time. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we come to an end. And on behalf of MIT University and founder president, I thank both the panelists, Dr. Sudha and Dr. Arun Chaudhary, for sparing your time.
I would like to submit some.
Okay, sorry. Oh, you go ahead.
So first of all, I would like to thank our honorable founder, President Sir, all the dignitaries here, and my esteemed colleagues. So today I got this opportunity listening all the dignitaries and stalwarts, and from all these discussion, several salient points which has emerged out, which I want to mention here. Dr. A.K. Singh rightly pointed out that we should not simply file patent for the sake of filing patent. We should have some policy, or we should emphasize that some patents must get commercialized. Then only I think we would be able to support some more patents, because the patents also incur some cost. So that cost can also be come from the commercialization of the patent. And also we can strengthen our research programs with the income we get from the patents. Second thing, we have to identify our strength. Instead of diverging our strength, we should converge our strength, so that in one direction, if we all make effort, that effort would be definitely very fruitful. The third point, we should
allow independent thinking to the researcher. And another very important point, which is very common also, and many times it has been debated and discussed in many forum and panel, but still we need to do a lot, and that is to encourage industry academia interaction. Because still I see that, in fact, myself have never come across such kind of opportunity where I could really fulfill my dream having collaboration with the industry. Because in the CSI organization or any PhD organization or institute, generally during PhD, we are not inculcating this kind of concept that the person after finishing his PhD dare to take challenges or to face challenges which industry people face generally. So I think with this point, if we address all these things in the coming times, definitely we would be having good future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak. Now, I said I resume my concluding remarks to both the panelists. Thanks for sparing time, enriching us, and we have noted all the points. And we at MIT will have a discussion on that, and we will try to absorb them, inculcate them. And at the end, I want to thank Dr. Silvamurthy and Dr. Meenakshi for considering me for this. And thank you very much. But I think at MIT, all faculty members and all of now to take a pledge that join together, plan our policies, and in a very structured way, let's focus on translational aspect, not total research, but let's decide that 30% would be the translational research and what is required. I think no one else will tell, we have to decide ourselves. And I think Dr. Silvamurthy, who is a doyen stalwart, I think he should take lead in that and make various, groups or committees who closely mentor, monitor, push, facilitate, so that in a year or so we start seeing the impact of this action. With these words, I conclude and I say thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Let's give a big clap to the chairman of this session, Dr. A.K. Singh. You conducted the session so meticulously with all the panelists. Now, in another 3 minutes, we'll conclude. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Founder President, because he has been listening to the program in spite of the other schedules, but he has conveyed his greetings because of his exigencies. He is unable to join us and address, but he has sent a message which I want to read, and also he has conveyed his blessings to all of you, and also conveyed the grateful thanks to all the panelists. Everyone, they are chosen experts. So let us clap for the experts, all the experts who joined. Founder has particularly asked me to express his grateful thanks to you. He sent one quoting. It is addressed to me, but I was asked to convey. Very difficult to understand, unbelievable, beyond the grasp of imagination, and such wonder is the deliberation which has happened here. So I will read that adjectives. Very difficult to understand, unbelievable, beyond the grasp of imagination, and such wonder is the deliberation in this panel. This is his comments. Now, 6th question from him, because 5 questions we have given. So he has asked the 6th question from the founder president. How did you do it? How you achieved to have such very, very important persons, very relevant persons, very knowledgeable persons, and more importantly, absolutely befitting to our mission. That is also Amity and Indian mission. And also all of them being at the helm of affairs would be of great importance, value, and for giving guidance and advice to us. My hearty appreciation to each and every one of you. So this is the message he has sent. I have just read out, unquote. Founder President, thank you so much. In spite of your busy schedule, you could also send your best wishes to all of us. Now, I would like to thank everyone, particularly, let's give a big hand to Meenakshi Kanojia, Dr. Meenakshi Kanojia, who is looking after the Amity Directorate of Innovation and Technology Transfer. And every panelist with your rich knowledge, wisdom, you are the one who has achieved so much in innovation. If the country has come to this level, all of you in the panel, online, offline, have played a very important role. And we will go by your advice, guidance. We will take your, in a sustainable way, we will connect with you. Now we will consolidate the recommendations and send it to you again. Before we send it to the government stakeholders, we will send in a draft form. Meenakshi, this is an action from all of us from MASTIF, APSTIA, DITT. We will make a consolidated recommendations which will go to the government and also the other stakeholders, including Federation of Industries like CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, PhD Chamber of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. So we will send to all people who are really matters, Ministry of Human Resource Development, UGC, AICT, all this. So before that, we want to refine it with your input again. So I will send to all the panelists. If you have any suggestions, please send it to us, Meenakshi, or in our secretariat. You can send to any one of us, but Meenakshi is the right person. So we will consolidate and send it to you in a draft form, refine it and send it back to the government. So thank you very much. And each one of the faculties who participated, now let us translate them into action. Because this is what founder has said. The outcome, finally it is the outcome. Not just only, in terms of recommendation. How do we realize, implement those recommendations? So plans and strategies and implementation is very important. Let us implement Amity as a model. I'm sure all of us, all of you can do it, and we will do it with the blessings from founder presidents. With this, I would like to thank DST for giving us the Technology Enabling Center and also Center for Policy Research, a satellite center now. Then it will mature into a full-fledged satellite center of policy research. Center. And so thank you once again to every one of you. Now over to you, Meenakshi, and you can just conclude.
Yeah. I thank you so much, Dr. W. Silvamurthy, Dr. A.K. Singh, all the dignitaries on the dais, and our esteemed panelists for sparing your precious time and being a part of this session. Now, may I request Dr. W. Silvamurthy, A.K. Singh sir, Neeraj Sharma sir to kindly facilitate Arun Chaudhary sir.
Felicitate, huh? Felicitate.
Yeah.
I'll give my card. चक्रवर्ती आ जाओ गोपाल जाओ गोपाल नूतन आ जाओ गोपाल So Arun, we will connect with you. Sure. Keep visiting, associating Amity in all your endeavors. We are contributing so much.
Thank you so much once again. Your participation reflects your commitment to the advancement of technology and your belief in the power of appropriate technology coupled with policy intervention. We are grateful for the knowledge and inspiration today you shared with us. Once again, thank you so much for being the part of this panel discussion.